Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Here only really a quick one just after the daily candle close. So towards the daily candle close we saw a little bit of volatility. We had a pattern to the downside full here. I talked about that in the previous video, that a turning point anywhere here would be quite likely. It was a phenomenal reward to risk setup there, especially with Ethereum, which I entered today. Which I always announce in the channel membership, but Bitcoin I didn't touch. It didn't pull back deep enough for me. It would have been nice to come down to that level, then I would have considered an entry as well. Ethereum came down right to the maximum support level, so it was just a phenomenal reward to risk, right? Even with Bitcoin here, from down here, when you talk about maybe a 26, 27K area as a target and the potential loss of $150, $200 compared to like a couple of grand, gain, is a decent reward to risk. Okay, so of course you never know if support is holding. In this case, so far it did, and let's see if it can now follow through. I mean, it's just now at the point where it really, above which it would need to break to indicate that the low is made. At the moment, it's not clear yet because it hasn't really broken above the wave 4 high here. If it does that, then we can say, okay, the low is probably in. At the moment, it hasn't really. It needs a sustained break above the 24,230 level. At the moment, I'm still counting it here as a wave 4. No change to the wave count from the previous video. All of that is still valid. What should ideally happen now? So ideally, it should now carry on to the upside. Of course, not in a straight line. You will see something like a 5-wave structure, maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then finish off the overall pattern up here. This would be a completion of the overall pattern that started in November, ideally into the 26, 27K region. We talked about ideal targets in previous videos. Sort of 26.7K is a very, very likely target up there. Always bear in mind, and we talked about that specifically yesterday in the video, that the minimum expectations for this fifth wave have been reached. It has done what it needs to do. It doesn't need to push any higher. It has moved with this wave here. It has moved above the previous high of the wave 3, and it has done so in what you could count as a 5-wave move to the upside. It's done enough, and it has also reached the very first target, Fibonacci extension target, based on the calculations, and it has got a ceiling in front of it, which is the August high. So there are a lot of resistance levels up here. Nevertheless, I would be extremely careful with short trading. I'm not going to open any short here. In fact, I would rather be positioned on the long side still, even though being very much aware about the risk. And primary expectation remains here further to the upside. Even if we get a bit of a deeper pullback, it would still have a chance to rally higher. And the reason is just that sort of the mechanics of market structure. So either it completed here a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so with one more wave to come. And then we could complete this larger pattern, which started in November, this fifth wave. And then we could come down in this larger A, B, C structure. In that scenario here, we would probably rally into the 26, 27K region. However, and that's what I said in the previous video, but I always want to repeat it so people don't miss it. If we get a deeper pullback now, but hold the low of early last week, so basically around about the 21.5K level, then we can count it in a way that we say, okay, it rallied in a wave 1. This would be a wave 1 of 5. We would then get an extension, wave 1. This was an A wave. This was a B wave, and we come down a little bit lower still. So if we come down low and break below this support, it is most likely a wave 2. Unless we break below last week's lows. But until then, I would then count it as a wave 2. That's a deeper pullback. Now that would provide another entry opportunity lower. And it might be useful to take it, because then we have a possibility. If we get a 1-2 here, we are going to see with a high likelihood, or at least a fairly decent probability, an extension of that fifth wave. We could then rally in a third wave. It would be a fourth and another fifth. That can go to 30K or even 35K. So if we see a deeper pullback and it needs that deeper pullback for that extension, then we probably get an extension. But again, condition here is then that it holds the lows of early last week. The main benefit here to know that is, if we see a deeper pullback, we have to be ready for a significant extension potentially. It sounds counterintuitive that if we get a deeper pullback, it might rally to 35K. This would then not be this wave 2 yet. We would do all of this in this wave 1 still. And if I zoom out a little bit, the wave 3 was already very extended. As per more traditional interpretations of Elliott Wave, normally when the wave 3 is extended, the wave 5 would normally not be much longer than the wave 1, typically the same length. That's why I expect no extension, but we still have to consider it and be ready for it if it happens. We don't want to be caught out. In crypto, because it's a very volatile market, sometimes you can get a wave 3 and a wave 5 extension. It is not too likely, but the altcoins like to do that sometimes, yeah. So I just want to warn you and make you aware what can happen if, okay. So at the moment, however, we're holding the low, and let's see if we can push through here overnight. Tomorrow GDP data, and Friday will be interesting, core PCE. So, and then we're heading again into the weekend. So yeah, that's my update about Bitcoin. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.